Well, good evening, everyone. This is a really exciting opportunity, and I trust that you are looking forward to tonight's talk. Later on this evening, we're going to have a panel that will be joining us to discuss what this talk has all been about, and I'm looking forward to hearing their input just as you are. Last week, we had the first part of a talk called Fresh Start. And I don't know about you, but I am looking forward to having a fresh start every morning when I wake up, and to be thankful for the day ahead, and looking forward to some great and exciting things. We talked about the fresh part of start and the first letter was letter F. We used the word faith and talked about stepping out in faith. We talked about being resolute in the decisions that we take, having enthusiasm and excitement for the future, about being sure, or maybe a better word would be certain, of the things that we do, and following our heart and using our head as opposed to the other way around. So tonight I'm going to talk about the whole concept of start. And just this morning, I had the opportunity to meet with my accountability partners right here in Pretoria. And we were having a discussion, and it became absolutely clear that the first thing that you need to do, the letter S, is step out the door. If you want to go for a run around the block, if you want to go for a walk in the morning, the first thing you have to do is just put on the running shoes, put on the walking shoes, and get out the door. Step out the door. It's taking that first step that is really the beginning of everything. So many people fail to take the first step because they complicate it. They think about whether they're going to be able to manage to run the 5 kilometers that they've set themselves, or whether they're going to have the time to complete it before the next appointment. There's all kinds of excuses. Maybe they open the curtains and they see there are clouds and they think there could be rain and they don't want to get wet, so they postpone what they should be doing now. So for me, when I was listening to Peter and Jaap and Fritz this morning, as we were discussing, this idea, this concept of simply stepping out the door was an important aspect to the beginning of everything. And I'm sure as you're listening to this stream this evening, that you are aware that there are certain things that you have been putting off. In Map for Life, we have a saying, and that is that everyone is mandated to procrastinate tomorrow. Okay, your mandate is to procrastinate tomorrow, not today. Today is for action. Tomorrow is for procrastination. So if you want to use the greatest excuse in the world of procrastination, please do it tomorrow, because we don't have time in today for that exercise. So I want to encourage you to, number one, step out the door. The second aspect of having a great start is the letter T, which talks about translating your dream or your idea into a clear, actionable plan. I don't think there is a single child on the planet who hasn't had a dream of some kind. Sadly, most of the dreams that adults have are dreams that other people have had before. In other words, they copy others. So when I talk to people about dreams and goals, they talk about having a great a dream home. Maybe they talk about having an exciting corporate position. Or maybe they want to go on a fancy holiday. Or they want to buy as I heard this morning, a carbon fiber Mercedes-Benz. Whatever it might be, people have dreams, but those dreams are simply to covet what others have. I believe our imagination is there to create something that has never existed before. That's why it is the most powerful creation known to man. And when you have that kind of dream, when you have that kind of vision, it's important to translate it into a clear plan. And that's what Map for Life enables people to do, to translate their ideas, their thoughts, their dreams into something that's crystal clear, on which not only they can act, but others who see it will run with it. You know, when you put your vision down and make it clear on tablets or clear on paper, it will certainly come to pass. There have been so many stories in Map for Life of people simply writing down their vision and dream, and years later, months later, finding that that dream has become a reality without any apparent effort other than having written it down. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of translating your dream into a clear master action plan. It wasn't long ago that I said, I am COVID positive. In other words, I have a clear, what is it? I have clarity of vision, which inspires direction. And that vision is positive. So I'm glad to say I'm COVID positive. And I trust that you also have a clear, or have clarity of vision, because clarity of vision inspires direction. It makes sure that when you get up in the morning, you are moving towards that vision that you have birthed. Translate your vision into a clear plan. The letter A for me is about affirmation. It's about affirming that which we see. I was talking a little bit earlier to a group of people and realized that so many people's affirmation is focused on their situation or the challenges or the circumstances or the location that they're in, that they forget about the most important affirmation, and that is the direction or the destination that they are moving towards. I mean, just think about it for a moment. How many people have you been able to sit down with at any point in your life that are sitting there and telling you about the incredible impact that their life is going to have because of what they are doing? Most people are so busy describing the situation because they see it as a great reason to justify their inaction. It's the best excuse that we could possibly have. In my country right now, one of the greatest things is load shedding. It's as if people live their life with their bum plugged into a plug. And they're waiting for the electricity commission to provide them power so that they can think and do. You and I are supernaturally powered. We just have to take a breath and we get oxygen in our lungs and we have all the energy we need to think clearly and move towards our vision. So the question to me is, this concept of affirmation, there's books read about it, but I'm not talking about coming up with some fancy, well-written affirmation that you can go and plaster on a wall and people are going to be impressed by it. I'm talking about the very words that come out of our mouth, because the words we speak affirm the future that we are directed towards. This means there's incredible responsibility on both my shoulders, your shoulders, and everyone to think clearly and carefully before we speak words, because the words that we speak have within them life or death. That might sound radical, but you know, the computer age that we live in understands that concept. They call it bits or bytes, ones or zeros. That's the only language it understands. And because it understands that language, it appears as if the computer is more intelligent than us. In fact, people are investing in artificial intelligence, algorithms that are designed to direct our life. My question is, when are you going to start investing in original intelligence? You see, you were born with a unique purpose and plan in mind. You are an original, never designed to be rebuilt, remade, copied. It's time for us to begin to have original thoughts, to take out the machete and start carving away through the forest where no one else has been before, to begin to create a footpath that others can follow if need be, to make way for people so that they know that what they thought was impossible is possible. The way to inspire the next generation is for you to do things that people recognize are impossible. When they look at what you've done, they must say to themselves, my goodness me, there must be a God. Because that kind of action, that kind of goal, those kind of aspirations are the ones that inspire people. People aren't inspired when you do what you can do. They are inspired when you do things that clearly you could not do, but you did anyway. And so let our words that we speak affirm the vision that's on our heart, not the circumstances that our eyes see around us. Let's talk about a future, because you know the future that you see right now in the present will be a reality. In fact, the past, or rather the present, is simply a past future. In other words, what you and I experience today is what somebody else imagined yesterday. So that means that what you are imagining right now at this moment is what other people will experience tomorrow. And so the future is present today. We create the future. We shape the future with the dreams and ideas that we have. In order for us to have a powerful affirmation, it is necessary for us to, the letter R, renew our mind. But there's something even more powerful than renewing your mind, and that is to repent. And when I say repent, I'm not being an evangelist. I'm not talking about something of biblical proportion. When I use the word repent, I'm referring to it in its simplest form, and that simply means to do an about turn. If you are moving in this direction and you repent, that's what happens. And there are many things that you and I are taught to do in our life based on a system that is designed to keep you trapped and enslave you. And that thinking will not enable you to do things that are world changing. To live out the purpose that you are born to do, you can no longer conform to the norms of society. You need to do an about turn. And in order to do the about turn, you've got to renew your thinking. You've got to think differently. And the best way to do that is to read the right material. They say faith comes from hearing. I don't know how many times you have heard the words, stay safe. But let me tell you something. On the few occasions that I've heard that, it seems to be a message of fear, which is about control. It's not a message that releases faith. So let's not help the message of fear to be propagated by sending people the message, stay safe. Let's get them to live dangerously, to step out of the comfort zone, to move into the places where they become relevant, which is beyond the place we are comfortable in. Let's get uncomfortable with the future. And then finally, the start is about taking territory. Wherever you put your foot, claim that territory. You see, you were born not to stay where you were dropped off. I was born in the city of East London. And you know something? My family has been there for generations. And when I travel to different parts of the world, I find that people are living within a 30-kilometer radius of where their parents or grandparents were born. People have become stuck. It's time to leave your father's house. It's time to leave your people. It's time to move beyond your nation and go where your vision is calling you. Step out of the confines and the limitations that your culture places upon you. Become the original that you were born to be instead of striving to conform and be a copy like everyone else. Originality is where value lies. Tonight has been an invitation to you for a fresh start. Step out the door. Translate that vision into a clear plan. Affirm it with the words you speak. Renew your mind, change direction or repent. And lastly, remember, every single step you take is a step to claim territory. I trust that you've been inspired by this talk, and I really look forward and excited to meeting the panel this evening. I trust that they will all have their video links working so that we can see and hear what they say, because I'm sure they have some great and valuable insights to share with you in a moment. I will hand over to Terence shortly. Thank you very much for tuning in. Lovely to have you on board.
Oh, thank you very much, Len. That was such an inspirational talk, and yeah, welcome to our audiences out there. I'm sure you've gained so much from what Len has to share. His enthusiasm is infectious, if I can put it that way. So thank you very much, Len. My name is Terence Ogle, and I've worked with Len for the past 15 years as part of the Map for Life Institute. I'm an associate. I love doing what I am doing, but tonight my role is to facilitate a panel discussion, and I'm looking forward to my guests on the panel, so that we can share with you, the audience, just what we gleaned out of what Len had to say. So yeah, welcome panel, welcome Peter, Amelia, and Guate. Great to see you guys again. I'm looking forward to a lovely chat about this inspirational talk. But before we get there, can I ask you to introduce yourself, starting with Amelia, and then Peter, and then Ngwati, please. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Terence. Hi, everybody. Yes, my name is Amelia Sequeira, and I'm also involved now with the Map for Life Institute for over 10 years. I started using the product in 2010 when friends gave me the map for business at that time when I started my own company. And the rest is history. You know, I just loved this tool so much that I became very involved with Map for Life. And I absolutely love sharing this with people and seeing the difference that it makes in their lives. So it's absolutely amazing.
Thanks, Amelia. Thanks for that. Peter?
I've been involved since Christmas 1999. I was given this book as a Christmas present. The book in those days was called My History in the Making, Journal 2000. And this effectively was the first Map for Life that came out. It changed my life, and as a result, I'm so positive about it. And because of what it did to me, I just feel that I have to help other people change their lives. And it's something that I've lived for the last 22 years.
Thanks, Peter. I love that title, History in the Making. That's a great title, and then we need to keep that in the top of mind as we go about our business. Lovely title. Ngwati?
Good evening, colleagues. I'm Wadim Zamo, born and bred in East London. I was introduced to Map for Life by Glenn when I met with him on his father's farm around about 2014. And then I also attended a master course in Pretoria, I think in 2016, 2017. So, although, well, perhaps I would say that at this stage I'm not fully practicing, but in actual fact, I make sure that whenever I get a chance, I introduce Map for Life, as I'm always each and every day looking at my vision board, which is guiding me even now after leaving work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ngoti. You know, as you mentioned where you met Glenn on his father's farm, the thought that crossed my mind was generational, and Map for Life is generational. We're impacting generations. We're leaving legacy for generations. So yeah, it was apt that you met Glenn on his father's farm. It is a generational thing. Okay, panel, I'm looking forward to a very good discussion around what Glenn was saying. I mean, he was so passionate about what he speaks of. He always is, and it's amazing how you can take a word like start and just build it out like he did. I thought it was absolutely great. So I want to just start off by throwing it out there. I mean, what were each of you as main sort of thoughts that you got as what grabbed you from his discussion? Let's start with Amelia and go the same way as we've introduced ourselves. What was it that really grabbed you in the talk, Amelia?
You know, guys, what immediately got me thinking when Glenn was basically talking about the confines and limitations of how you grew up, and you know the way that you programmed and being in your comfort zone. I remember as a youngster, those years, I was brought up with the idea of you go, you study, you start your job, and you retire with the same company. When I got my very first paycheck, when I got home that night, the person from the Old Mutual was waiting there for me to write me my first retirement policy. My father absolutely believed in that, you know, and that was a frame of mind that you grew up with. You didn't think about changing jobs, or you didn't think, you know, a job was just a means to an end. Not you were not even worried about your purpose, etc. It was only much later in my life that I realized how important purpose is. And it's not just about slogging through life, staying in your comfort zone, staying in a job that maybe you don't like. You know, I was fortunate, I always enjoyed my job, but you know, you might be in a job that you absolutely hate with a passion, but you just stay there hoping that one day when you retire, things will get better. And I learned a very, very important lesson. My father had a lot of dreams, and he was always dreaming about when he retires at age 55, he was going to do a lot of things. He had a whole list of things that he was going to do. And then my father was diagnosed with cancer, and he died at the age 54. And he never lived his life. He never took holidays. He never got to do. And I think that is what woke me up as well, to realize there is more to life than the day-to-day comfort zone, slogging along, just staying where you are. And when Glenn was talking about that tonight, that was immediately what came to mind for me. What did you guys think?
Amelia, I could get carried away just on what you've said. And I was talking earlier today about this week's map gem, which is talking about your job. And I sort of look back and I sort of started off, I had a job. And it was a case of, yes, and I made the most of the job, but it was a means to an end. And somewhere down the line, I was able to break out of that. And so just coming back to Glenn's presentation, what I jotted down was a question of action, that we talk about my action plan. And I believe that action is the key to it all. We need to be taking action on a daily basis. So this question of stepping out the door really is, to me, is the key to starting the day. I'm a great believer in the 5 a.m. club, a great believer in the morning rituals, and it's a case of just get out there and just do it. And I think so it's that stepping out of the door and becoming a man of action.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for that, Peter Ngwati. What are your thoughts? What stuck out for you?
Thank you very much. Apparently, with this S that is stepping out of the door, what has fascinated me is the word procrastination.
Okay.
Because procrastination, as it is being said, is a thief of time. And you find that most human beings, they like to procrastinate. Maybe it's coming from the saying that more in Afrikaans, more is nog 'n dag. And tomorrow is another day, but you find that we do not have the pleasure of time, because time is always against us. Because now I think this what I think what has come up strongly, I think for me, is just when it's about to do something, you better tackle it immediately. Not to say that tomorrow, next week, or next year. So you better take one step, and then once you take one step, you'll be able to take the following steps. Thank you.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, no, excellent. Procrastination, as you've just said, is one of those things that I believe Map for Life helps us overcome, actually, because we've got an action plan. We know what we need to do. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it. I want to go back to Amelia. You know, when you mentioned the way you grew up and stuff like that, and I was trying to relate it to step out the door, and it was more like you were pushed out the door, or rather than pushed out the door, you're pushed into a door, into this is your world from now on. So this is your job, etc. And you stay in that room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
As opposed
absolutely.
to what Glenn was sharing with us, that getting out of the door is really going after your dreams and what you really are born to go for. So yeah,
Yes.
that was the essence, stepping out of the thing. And then dreaming, also a big part in Map for Life. And you know, I think I've mentioned this in another forum, where the picture that comes to mind with dreaming is almost like daydreaming, right? It's like sitting there and thinking, oh, it'd be great if I could be on the beach and stuff like that. But that's not the type of dreaming we're talking about, right? Can I just have your views as well on dreaming, and what does dreaming mean to you?
You know, I think for me, if I look at dreaming in the context of mapping your life, etc., it links to the whole fact of affirming as well and living in the present. So dreaming in the present, I think, is, absolutely being able to get to a point in your life where you know what it is that you want to contribute to the world, that you know what legacy you want to leave behind, that you know what your purpose is and what you want to strive for. And then that you start with this mind affirmation and programming. and almost, I wouldn't say convincing yourself, because by that time you know absolutely why you are here. And then you can basically start and seeing yourself in that situation as if it is happening now, in the present. And that's when, you know, you start realizing all these beautiful things that starts happening. The law of attraction, the reticular activating system here in the back of our brains that make us pick up all the information that we need, that links into our dream. The minute that you have that clarity of purpose that Len was referring to, it's like this big puzzle that everything just falls into place. And then the enthusiasm and everything comes, the energy, you know, you start becoming alive. So it is absolutely awesome. And that's dreaming for me is a real thing happening. It's happening right now. It's not something somewhere in the future that you hope will happen. It is something happening right now.
Can I just add to that? And I think when we start talking about dreams, it's a case of passion. And it's a case of, I try to live passionately. And I talk about when folks say you're going on holiday, I said, I don't have holidays. In fact, I actually don't work. I spend my time pursuing my passions. And whether it's all about passion, it's all about, I'm going to say, pleasure. And I ask myself 3 questions. Did I live today? Did I love today? And did I make a difference today? And if I can say yes to those 3 questions, I know that today I was living my dream and I was making a difference and I was living with my passion.
Oh, thanks, Peter. That's an excellent way to test it. I really love that. Did I live today? Did I love today? Did I make a difference today? And, you know, Amelia, what you were saying earlier, it's all about dreaming with intent, dreaming with a focus. It's not dreaming just wildly, you know, which we often do, and I think we do have license to do that at times as part of, you know, just relaxing. But the dreaming we're talking about here is intentional dreaming, dreaming with a focus, with a clear end state in mind. That's a thank you, Peter. Ngwati, do you want to just add anything on the dreaming side?
Yeah, something on the dreaming side. Apparently, in most cases, a human being, when is thinking of a dream, is only thinking a dream around himself or herself or her family.
Okay.
So the way I see it, I think it's important. I think when we're dreaming that we also think of others in order to broaden the scope. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to look at your family, you'll only focus on your success. And then most successes I've seen from human beings, I and my family, I and my family.
Sure.
What is important when you are involved in this dream, it's important to have a dream at the end which have some sort of significance. How are you going to touch the others? How are you going to touch the community? For instance, now I'm just thinking of where, for instance, I'm ministering in Ndazane. We're ministering there. I think we're 2 of us ministering in a child and youth center, which has got about 72 kids from 3 years up to 18 years. So the way I see the dream is to how are we going to make an impact on those kids as they are moving from 3 years up to 18 years. And then also there'll be at least there'll be another lot which will move through that process. So it's what is important for me. A dream also, although it should start maybe around your immediate family, but it should also go beyond the family up to the community, and also so that you can impact the others in terms of significance.
Yeah, some very good points there. Peter, you seem like you want to say something. I can You want to add
Well,
to that? Very well.
I was just looking at a note I've got written down in front of me, and it's relating to this dream, and it's relating to the post that just appeared there. We talk about a life of significance. My little note has got is you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So we need to be thinking of that big picture
That's
without
very good.
ourselves in the frame.
That's very good. You can't see the picture without the frame. Yeah, when you're in the frame, very good. And yeah, and what I think as well, Amelia alluded to it earlier on as well, the purpose components, right? So if your dream is aligned to your purpose, which it should be, then purpose is never about me, myself, and I. It's always about what I can contribute to others. You know, like you rightly said. Otherwise, then it becomes selfish. Whatever dream we dreams are becoming selfish. They're all internal, and I believe we are sent out to make a difference in the world. And yeah, we equip ourselves, but we equip ourselves for the purpose of enriching others, and sowing into others' lives. Yeah.
And it is so true what Ngwadi said.
Yeah.
You know, we think about our relationships, we're thinking about the community, etc.
Yeah.
And that's why in Map for Life, we acknowledge that we are complex human beings and we look at all 8 areas of life. We look at those close relationships. We look at those things. We look at our health. We look at the community and the charities and the things where we want to make a difference. And that is why Map for Life look at the whole. It basically just includes everything in life, each and every area. So absolutely, Ngwadi, it's so important to look at what difference do you make in other people's lives as well.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. My favorite part of Glenn's talk was the affirmation. I love the affirmation. I'm fascinated with the mind, and I'm fascinated with what impact thoughts can have. We there's statistics about how many thoughts we think a day, etc. And it's lots. I mean, it's hundreds, if not thousands, of thoughts that go through our minds. And those thoughts can either make us or break us. They can lead us up a path to fulfill our purpose, or they can move us away totally from that. So I'm really fascinated about that. What Glenn said as well was supernaturally powered, right? And maybe let's just talk about that. I mean, what do you think he meant by supernaturally powered? Does anybody want to have a...
I think, for me, it's basically that understanding that we have everything that we need already inside of us. We are already empowered. We have each and every talent. I saw a nice quote today that I immediately thought of now. It went something along the line of, don't regard a fish, or don't rate a fish on his ability to climb a tree. And that is how I think each and every individual is uniquely powered up with their own unique talents. That's why we are all different. We need different things in order to pursue our purpose. It's not necessary for all of us to be superbly excellent with relationship building, but there are some of us that need to have that skill for our specific purpose. And I think that is what immediately came up for me when Glenn mentioned we are powered. You have everything. You are 100% powered. All you need to do is take that step. Take that step forward. Take that step out of your comfort zone and do what you are supposed to do. Follow your gut feel. Figure that out and go for it. That whole thing of stop stopping and start starting, that we discussed last week as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
And that's where the power comes from for me.
Yeah. What that should also do as well, Amelia, is it should take away the competitive edge and the anxiety to say you're competing with somebody, because you aren't really, right? You're endowed with your unique gifts. We are each, Ngwate, Peter, Amelia, we are all each unique. So I'm not competing with any of you in what I'm doing. I'm just fulfilling my purpose, and I'm gifted with my unique gifts, So, yeah, we mustn't feel we're living in a competitive world. The world will have us believe that. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Peter and Ngwate?
I was thinking of the bee, and the bee
Yeah.
knows exactly what it's got to do. It's just got to go out there, find the flower, and make honey. And who told it what to do? And we've got to be like the bee. We've got to find our sweet spot and just make the honey.
Love that. Make the honey, yeah. Yeah, excellent.
So, Terence, if I may just come in here in this uniqueness you are talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, really, who are unique, but unfortunately, I think the way we have been brought up, I would say that some of us, I think what I would call, lack of a better word, boxed upbringing, which in actual fact, this boxed upbringing, you find that you get even in the system of education. For instance, by nature, who have been brought up to be very competitive of one another, even our system of education. Because I think as a result, you find that you end up losing that uniqueness you were born with, you were endowed with as a human being, being a human being, having the flesh, the soul, and the spirit. But because of this competition, we have been, in actual we have been brought up with in our mind. You end up not having to become, let's say, you don't become an original, you become some sort of a carbon copy. I think that's how I see it. The way I think, for instance, some of us, even myself, I grew up, I had to try and wrestle without boxed upbringing. Now, I think now that I'm an adult, no man, this was not the correct way. So if I could have known about it, I could not have started with it to try and pass this over to my kids. So now I try to wrestle with that because of the boxed upbringing. Thank you.
Yeah, some excellent thoughts there. Can you imagine if we were unboxed, as you've intimated, at a very early age? Can you imagine what impact we would have had then? But then again, it's never too late to be unboxed, and then help others get to know about being boxed and being asked to conform rather than to transform earlier, and the impact that they would have. Yeah, some great insights there. Okay, so let's conclude then with maybe a discussion around territory. Glenn in his talk mentioned that we must step out and ultimately claim the territory. Wherever we put our foot, we must claim the territory, move beyond our nation, step out of our confines. And as Kwati said, get out of the box and just be free to do whatever we are called to do. Any thoughts on that?
I have it written down in my plan of action. I've got Jabez's prayer there. Lord, right. enlarge my territory.
Excellent.
And my circle of influence. It's That's not great. Something that I look at on a daily basis, although I should. But to me, it is important to increase my circle of influence and have an impact on more people than I am doing. So it is something that I strive for and something that I'm aware of. Right. But sadly, it's not there on top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Thank you for that. What normally happens, I believe, is when you are walking in your purpose, when you are passionate about what you're doing, it's catchy. other people see it and they see something different. And just by doing that, you're already enlarging your territory. You're already enlarging your circle of influence. So, yeah. Okay. Gwati, you look like you wanna share something with us.
No, in actual fact, I think I agree with this notion of enlarging the territory.
Right, right.
Which in actual fact Peter has referred to. Because the reason why some of us, we are not enlarging the territory where we are is because of this idea of not having confidence in oneself, or lack of the better word, having faith in terms of being sure of what you want. Because what is important in actual fact, what we always like to listen to our feelings, because that's where these feelings actually, they're just in the mind.
Right.
They are not just inside, where there's always that gut feeling that you should do it. So it's always in the mind and all that. But the reason why this guy who was saying that enlarge my territory, if you can read the story of that guy, you find that guy in actual fact is the way he was born, and the way the mother named him, and I think it was JP's or something like that, because of the way he was brought to this earth. And now you find that sort of a background, the past is always haunting, whereas what we're supposed to be doing, we need now to move from the past to the present, and then we look towards the future. That's what Map for Life is. Thank you.
Yeah, very well put.
Can I just talk about the Standard Bank advertisement that's appearing now?
Sure.
It talks about, are you interested or are you committed? And I think on this question of enlarging the territory, there's folk who will talk about it, but they're just interested in it. But there's that lack of commitment. I think that's what we in Map for Life are about. We committed to a life of purpose.
Right.
It's not just being interested in a life of purpose. We want to break out and make a difference.
Absolutely.
And Ngwadi, when you were talking now about how we were all brought up in a specific schooling system and boxed, etc., and I think it was like that for a very long time for everybody. I mean, individuality was frowned on. Where nowadays, and I must say what excites me extremely about the future is things changed. Individuality now is welcomed. People who are totally different from us are not frowned upon anymore. We are welcoming people into our circles. We are enjoying meeting people who are different from us. And the world is becoming our oyster. If you look at Map for Life, we are mapping the world with this tool. We are able to go out there and we are able to refer this tool online to people across the world. I mean, years ago, if you think about it, it would have been too difficult to get our message out there. It would have been, we wouldn't even have thought about going overseas and going to other countries. And now we sit on Zoom calls with people in other countries as if they're right next door to us. And it is just amazing to me how our territory, where it used to be so limited, our territory is now so big. We can go and live our dreams out in the world, not just in one little area where we are. So that, I think, is awesome from how the world is moving nowadays.
Excellent. Thanks, Amelia. That was such a lovely summary. The world is indeed our oyster, and the opportunity we have now with the technology we have, when the rest of the world is cloistering and being internal, we have this opportunity to go out there and impact the world, really. And so there's no excuse for any of us not to step out and to claim the territory that we've been given, and to change the world and to impact the world. And you know what's also interesting just in conclusion, is that the human need, regardless of where it is in the world, is the same. You know, purpose in the East, in Japan, is exactly the same as purpose in America. You know, we were all created with the same inward desire to pursue and achieve purpose, and that's exciting. It's not like we change Map for Life when it comes to a culture. We might change the language, but the contents and the methodology remains the same.
Exactly.
Panel, colleagues, friends, thank you so much. Really enjoy this discussion, and I sincerely hope that whoever's listened in and is listening into to this particular broadcast is you've taken away something that you can practically use. So thank you so much for your contribution. Thanks to Glenn for his talk, and I'm going to hand back to Glenn to close this off. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Terence.
Terence.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Corinne. Thanks.